In 2013, a woman in Texas was convicted of murder even though prosecutors never produced a body, never found a weapon, never presented a crime scene, and never caught a single eyewitness. A bizarre and unsettling conviction that legal analysts still argue about. And the reason that detail matters now is because it became the shadow behind another case, a completely different case, one that began years later, hundreds of miles away, when a woman named Leah married a man she believed was a decorated American soldier, only to eventually discover he was not merely lying about his past, but living under an identity that wasn't his, an identity he had used to prey on women across multiple states, an identity connected, in ways no one understood, to the Texas conviction from 2013. Leah met him on a summer afternoon when the air was heavy with that still, dusty heat Texas roads never quite let go of. He walked into the hardware shop where she worked wearing a sharply pressed uniform, boots polished, name tag shining, posture straight as if he'd been carved from the strictest definition of discipline. He introduced himself as Staff Sergeant Daniel Cole. His voice was warm, charming, firm in the way people expect good soldiers to sound. He asked her where to find a set of industrial screws, then returned the following week for paint, and the following week for lumber. Each visit wrapped in friendly conversation and shy compliments that made her heart stir in a way she hadn't felt in years. When he finally asked her out for dinner, she said yes without hesitation. Their relationship moved quickly, but not in a way that felt dangerous, only exciting. He sent photos from the base, checked in every night, shared stories of deployments, injuries, medals, and lost friends. He made her feel like she had stepped into a life larger and more meaningful than her own. By the 4th month, he proposed. By the 6th month, they were married in a small courthouse ceremony with 2 men from his unit as witnesses, men who stood quietly, smiled politely, and vanished before anyone learned their names. Leah dismissed those small oddities because marriage has a way of convincing people to ignore anything that doesn't fit the picture they desperately want to believe in. But the first cracks appeared when she noticed inconsistencies in his stories. One day, he claimed he served 2 tours in Afghanistan. Another day, he said 3. His explanations shifted depending on his mood. His timeline bent and reshaped itself with each retelling, like a story rehearsed too many times by someone who couldn't remember which version he'd told last. Then, late one night, her phone rang. A woman's voice trembled through the speaker, fragile and urgent, asking for Leah by name. Before Leah could respond, the woman whispered that she didn't have long, that she was risking everything by calling, that Leah needed to leave the man she married because he wasn't who he said he was. She said Leah wasn't safe. She said none of them were safe. And then the line went dead. Leah stared at her sleeping husband, his steady breathing, his calm expression, the rise and fall of his chest beneath the blanket, and a cold dread crawled up her spine. When she confronted him the next morning, he dismissed the call as a jealous ex-girlfriend, a mentally unstable woman who had fabricated stories in the past, someone the military had dealt with before. He kissed her forehead, told her not to worry, told her she was the only one he ever wanted. But the moment that shattered everything happened 2 weeks later, when Leah found a small black notebook hidden under the passenger seat of the car. Inside it were names, dozens of names of women from different states. Dates, locations, hotel room numbers, notes describing their routines, their fears, their habits, their vulnerabilities. Some pages had only first names. Others had full profiles. But the detail that nearly made Leah drop the notebook were the letters A, her initials, scribbled with a thick underline, and a single chilling word beside them. Next. She photographed every page, returned the notebook to its hiding place, pretended nothing was wrong, and waited for a moment when she could escape safely. But she never got the chance, because the very next morning, federal agents arrived at their door. Not local police, not military police. Federal agents with serious expressions and clipped voices who asked for Daniel Cole and then placed him in handcuffs before he could utter a single word. Leah watched through the doorway, heart pounding, as they escorted him to a dark SUV. At the station, they told her the truth. The man she married was not Staff Sergeant Daniel Cole. He was not a soldier, not a veteran, not affiliated with the military in any capacity. Every uniform photo he had sent her was stolen from other men's social media accounts. Every medal he had described belonged to someone else. Every deployment story was plagiarized from real soldiers who never knew a predator was using their lives as a mask. But the revelations didn't stop there. The agents explained that he was connected to multiple missing women. Women who disappeared without struggle, without witnesses, without evidence. Women whose cases all shared one unnerving detail. Each had met a man claiming to be a soldier stationed temporarily in their region. Leah felt her stomach twist when they showed her photos of the missing. Some faces she recognized from a notebook, names she remembered, notes she had read. Then the agents asked whether she knew anything about a 2013 case involving a woman in Texas who was convicted without evidence. Confused, Leah said she didn't. The agent slid a photo across the metal table. A woman's DMV portrait, tired eyes, tight smile. Leah's blood ran cold. She had seen that face, too, in the notebook, on a page where her name was marked with the word process. And the agent explained that recent tips suggested the missing woman, the supposed victim in the 2013 case, had never been killed by the woman convicted for her murder. Instead, she may have crossed paths with a man who matched the description of Leah's husband. The room spun as the pieces fell into place. But the most terrifying detail came next. He escaped custody less than 2 hours after his arrest, slipped out with a stolen badge, walked straight out of the detention center. No one could explain how. No one could predict where he went. But the agents were certain of one thing. He would not leave Leah behind. They moved her to a safe house under federal protection. But the first night inside, just after midnight, she heard a faint scrape against the window. Then a second, then a third, slow and deliberate, like someone dragging a single finger across the glass. Her phone, her new phone, buzzed on the nightstand at a text from an unknown number. You weren't supposed to find the book yet. She screamed. Agents rushed in, weapons drawn. But whoever had been at the window was already gone, leaving only a muddy footprint beneath the sill, fresh and deep. The next morning, the investigation intensified. Agents searched Leah's old home again, this time tearing through insulation, floorboards, vents, and hidden in the attic. They found a stack of old military IDs. Not one, not two, but several, layered like a deck of cards. Different names, different ages, different ranks, all crafted with surgical precision. But beneath the stack was an older ID, worn, cracked, and decades old, showing a younger version of the man Leah married. And the name printed on it triggered alerts across multiple international databases. The alerts were violent, urgent, frantic. The man was connected to disappearances in 3 countries, investigations in 2 others. And one file contained a detail that stunned the agents. He had been declared legally dead 12 years earlier. The file didn't just mark him as deceased. It included an autopsy certification, fingerprints, coroner signatures. The man Leah married should not have existed at all. That afternoon, while agents reviewed the file, one detail surfaced that none of them could explain. It was a cause of death listed on the autopsy report. Fatal injuries consistent with abduction and homicide. Leah stared at the paper, pulse hammering, as the realization sank in that the man she married had somehow stolen the identity of someone who himself had been murdered. A murderer assuming the identity of another murdered man. The layers of deception felt endless. But the cliffhanger, the moment that turned the entire case upside down, came that evening when a federal agent rushed into Leah's safe house, holding a newly discovered document found tucked between the pages of one of the false IDs. It was a photo, a grainy, old photograph dated 2005. In the picture were 5 women standing together at what looked like a fairground. Their faces were circled in red ink, for identified as missing persons. The 5th, the one in the center, the only one without a circle, was Leah, standing there 18 years younger, smiling at a camera she didn't remember posing for. When she whispered, "I've never seen this photo in my life," the agent's hands began to tremble. Someone had written a message on the back of the photograph in small, neat handwriting. She was mine long before she knew. The room fell silent. The agent exhaled shakily, then turned the photo over one more time. Another line was scribbled beneath the first. "Tell her I'm coming to finish what I started." And the timestamp printed on the photo, the part that made every agent in the room freeze, it was taken on the night the 2013 missing woman vanished. The same night the woman, later convicted of murder, insisted she saw a soldier dragging someone into a truck. And now investigators believe Leah was there too. They just don't know how or why, or where the soldier is now. But they do know one thing. He had been watching her for nearly 2 decades, and tonight, according to Message, was the night he planned to return.